Hello, what is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and we are still reviewing The Flash, even though I had a damn near nervous breakdown last night watching Gotham Knights. I am still watching The Flash. This is Season 9, the final season, Episode 11, entitled A New World, Part 2. We're continuing from the episode last week where Barry somehow, some way wound up in the year 2000. This episode is directed by Kayla Compton, who plays Allegra on the show. She didn't really factor into the episode herself, probably because she was busy directing. I will say, first time directing, I believe, she did a good job. As far as just pure directing, pure in your face, like the action on screen, I was impressed, especially when I compared it to the Danielle Panabaker. I love Danielle Panabaker, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bash her. I thought her episode's directing was terrible, but Kayla, great job. Alright, so at the beginning of the episode, we see Eddie Thawne, or at least somebody who looks like Eddie Thawne. He walks into the police precinct, and he's kind of like trying to figure out what's going on after he got hit with lightning and seemingly got powers. We don't really know exactly what happened. Everyone in the station is looking at him like they've seen a ghost because, well, Eddie Thawne is supposed to be dead. Now, I was trying to figure out, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just dumb and I missed this point. Is this Eddie Thawne in our world? Like, when he walked into the police station, is that our police station with our Barry Allen? Or is this an Elseworld? Because I thought this was an Elseworld. I'm sort of confused. I mean, maybe when he got struck with the lightning, in those scenes, he was in his universe, and the accident brought him into our universe. Maybe that is the case. I was just confused because when he goes into the office and he talks to, it's that female character that we've been seeing in a cop uniform for, like, I feel like 4 seasons straight now, right? She's always a side character. She'll come in and say one line and then she'll be gone, or she'll come in and she'll get knocked down by the villain, and that's all we really ever see of her. Here she's like the captain. Now, did I miss something or forget something? What happened to the captain, the lady that has been the captain this whole time, that knew that Barry was the Flash? Wasn't she around when Red Death, or fucking evil Batwoman, wasn't she there and the captain for that? Did I miss an episode where she left? I'm sure somebody in the comments will say, well, duh, obviously this happened. Clearly I'm not doing a good job keeping track of where the fuck are we? Where the fuck is each scene taking place? I'm a little confused right now. Granted, that could be a me thing. Then we see that the group is talking about Barry's disappearance. And I just kind of find it hilarious that Iris is the only one who's sort of treating it like it's a big deal, treating it like Barry could be fucking dead for all we know. And I love that everybody else in the group is like, oh no, he's fine. Even though he vanished into thin air. Even though that's not normal, even though they go through shit all the time. I get it. But still, it's like, he actually could be dead. And they're just sort of like, oh no, he'll come back to us. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it? Huh? And it wasn't until later on in the episode where we realized that this episode was actually happening at the same time as last week's episode. So, okay, that explains how long Barry's been gone. Randomly, Mark comes back. And Mark is a character, he's a side character that I don't really give a fuck about. Honestly, I didn't even know his name was Mark until this season, because I feel like I've heard his name all the time now. But he comes back, you find out that he's been in contact with Cecile, because everybody is cool with Cecile, I guess. And you see that Iris is, she's upset about this, obviously. She brings up the newspaper that said that the Flash vanishes. And I thought to myself, oh yeah, they did set this up in like the earlier seasons, that there was a newspaper that either Flash would die or later on it got changed to he vanishes. And I'm like, is this supposed to be that moment? This is the moment where Barry vanishes? She even mentions that Nora in the future says that this is how she loses her dad. He just disappears. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm okay with them doing the whole here's the moment where he vanishes thing. I just wish that we knew why this is happening. I'm sure. I said I'm sure. Maybe we'll find out why he's disappearing or who exactly is making him disappear. Because it happens at such a random time, such a random point, that it seems a little silly to me. Allegra goes outside and gets shot by a mystery person, and then the building gets gassed and people get knocked out. Then Mark and Khione shows up, and Khione does this weird magical stuff where she wakes the people up and she puts air into them, but they turn green. I was fucking confused as fuck at that moment of like, why did they turn green? And then they freaked out, and this is some of the worst side character or extra acting I've ever seen. Like, it's just, and the actress, the female, she's been in a couple episodes at this place that Iris works at. So I don't know. Her acting was terrible where she wakes up and she's like, what did you do to us? Oh, get away from us, you freak. Ah, and she runs away. I'm like, this is awful. Awful, awful acting. Then Mark goes to Khione and goes through this whole speech on why Khione is basically a piece of shit. He legit just verbally assaults this woman about how terrible of a person she is, how terrible of a character she is, which is kind of like how I feel watching it. I do feel like Khione is the worst character that they've had on the show in a long time, because I still can't believe that they killed off Frost. And then they killed off Caitlyn off screen in between seasons just to have her turn into this Khione person that is super like spiritual and all about nature and just really fucking bland and dull and just an uninteresting, uninspired character whenever I see her on screen. And so when Mark shits all over her, I'm kind of like, well, yeah, yeah, you're an abomination. Yeah, he has a point. She gets upset and leaves. And then Mark's eyes turn blue. So Mark is another vessel of the negative speed force. Remember the bullshit that I did not like about last week's episode where the negative speed force took over the body of Joe West from the past? Yeah, I hated that. It was actually like the worst part of last week's episode. I know there was some people that commented in my review last week saying, oh, you're so wrong about this episode. Most people online are loving it. And I'm like, wow, oh, okay, fuck, my fault. Most people online are loving last week's episode, then I'll change my mind and say I love it. What the fuck? I liked a couple of moments last week, especially when it pertained to him in Reverse Flash. But me having issues with certain scenes and certain writing moments and certain acting moments, like that's not going to fucking go away because you tell me that people online are liking it. Just like this week. Maybe other people will say, no, this was a good episode. This was another fucking banger. I thought this episode was bad. I did. I thought it was even worse than last week with all this fucking crazy shit going on. And so the Speed Force shows up as Nora, right? The Speed Force, for some reason, for whatever reason, this was seasons ago, so I'm not really addressing it now, but she looks like Barry's mom. I still think it's weird, but okay, fine. It's an excuse to have Barry's mom's actress show up to be another character. She arrives to save Iris from Mark, and then she summons Khione. Wherever Khione was, I don't know where Khione was. She could have been in the bathroom taking a shit, and all of a sudden she gets summoned to the fucking room in the middle of taking a dump. Actually, does Khione poop? Does Khione eat? Maybe she has eaten in the past. I don't really know, because even the Speed Force is saying, Khione, you're something special. Look at your abilities. You can do all of these things. And it's like, well, what the fuck is she? I thought they were going to build up that she's like an angel or something. And as dumb as that is, it's probably not as dumb as what they actually ended up saying that she was. And so Khione comes face to face with Mark, the possessed Mark. And Mark, I love how he says, the only way you can defeat me, Khione, is if you kill me. If you kill this body that I'm possessing. And then he goes, and by the way, as long as I have this crystal in his hand, I will be powerful. Like, he just showed her what his weakness is. What a fucking dumb fuck. Especially because Barry just used that in order to defeat you last time. Anyways. So Khione just turns Mark into dust. And I said to myself, fuck, not only is Khione powerful as fuck, although earlier, because Allegra was shot, she was put in a coma. And I think somebody asked Khione, like, hey, can you cure Allegra? Can you wake her up from her coma? And she comes up with this bullshit explanation of, like, no, I can only do things that are unnatural, and her coma is natural. Is it? You're telling me that Allegra was naturally put into a coma and you can't do anything, but yet you can turn a human being into dust? Okay. She turns Mark into dust, and then she's able to re-bring him back from dust into a person again so she can resurrect the dead. Khione can resurrect the dead, but she can't wake somebody up from a coma. Make this make sense. What the fuck? This is dumb. This Khione character and her being this powerful but not being consistent is fucking dumb. Iris goes into labor, so it's like, oh yeah, everybody's happy, but Barry's still missing. Barry arrives, he just reappears. We still don't know how. And it's like, oh, well, great timing. You happen to come just when your daughter's about to be born. They rush her to the hospital, and then as they're all talking in a group, Barry disappears again. This is so comical at this point. This feels like a fucking parody. They just got this motherfucker back, and now he's already gone. Maybe they'll explain why he keeps appearing and disappearing, but I just think it's so fucking silly. And as the real Mark is talking to Khione, first of all, Khione says to Mark, hey, I'm really glad to have my friend back. It's like, fuck, you keep friend zoning this motherfucker. You're gonna chase him away again. He just ran away crying because you won't date him. You won't fuck this guy. And when you get him back, and it's weird because she's all like, I miss you, I've been thinking about you. But you're my friend. It's like, well, okay, like obviously that can be cool, that can be the case. But he clearly likes her more than that, so it's just, I don't really get it. I don't care about Mark. I don't care about Khione. I don't care if they get together. We're wasting fucking time with them. And then Khione announces that I'm a goddess. I'm a goddess. Great. I'm trying to think of what's worse. This, or when they revealed on True Blood that Suki was a fairy, because that was very anticlimactic as well. This is probably worse because I don't know what they could have said about Khione that would have made me feel like it was worth it. Last scene, Eddie Thawne digs up the grave of Eddie Thawne, only to reveal that the grave is missing. He's been getting all these visions of Eddie's memories and him with Iris. Pretty much everything from season 1. He remembers his death. Now, I don't fucking get it. I don't know how he's back. Even the bullet wound that he shot himself with reformed, and he takes the bullet out to show the fucking cop. So, Eddie Thawne is just back. Now, I like the actor that played Eddie Thawne. I did. And I remember thinking that when he killed himself, what a fucking sacrifice, a noble sacrifice. It really made that character stand out as a hero. And so bringing him back feels really forced. Bringing him back feels like it's really fucking out of the blue, out of nowhere. I mean, it's 9 seasons later and we're just now bringing him back. I don't know. It's a little goofy, but it's the least goofiest thing that they've done in this season and in this episode so far. So I'm kind of like, I'm at least curious as to where they're going to go with it. Oh, wow. This season has been all over the place. At least I can say it's more watchable than Gotham Knights, but again, that's not saying much. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this episode, A New World Order? Part 2. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!
Oh yeah! Today I feel super